Hello there everybody, Jordan back again with another review, and this is going to be for the 2011 film Scream 4, and this is directed by Wes Craven and stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette. On her return to Woodsboro, Sydney learns that there is a new Ghostface killer at large who is also threatening her cousin. And just before we get into it guys, I have reviewed the first 3 Scream movies in this franchise, and I'm also going to be reviewing 5, 6 and 7 after this. So I'm going to leave my Scream review playlist down below in the description. Don't forget to check all those out. And also, just a heads up, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you don't want to know who the Ghostface killers are, maybe now is the time to leave, go watch the movie, and then come back. Well guys, I have seen a lot of different reactions to Scream 4 in the past. A lot of people say it's one of the best Screams, and a lot of people say it's one of the worst. I am actually in that camp of always thinking that this is one of the best sequels and is possibly my favourite sequel of all. And I was really hoping that was going to be the case going into this on rewatch. This is like the 4th or 5th time I've watched this movie, so I did doubt it was going to change. But I've never really got the hate for this film. I think there are so many great positives going for it, so let's get into it. Now, I do like to usually start these reviews talking about the great openings, but I'm going to save that for my mixed opinions on this film. More on that shortly, but I do like how we are returning to Woodsboro here, because in the second one we had Windsor College, in the third movie we were in Hollywood on the stab set, so we haven't really returned to the roots of this franchise since the first movie, and it does actually feel a bit like the first film with this whole media circus going on because there's a murder that's happened, there's a new Ghostface at large, and it is actually a media's present here, a gift-wrapped sort of news story, because Sydney is actually in town on the anniversary of the Woodsboro's killings, signing her new book. So it all intermingles and connects beautifully for the Ghostface killer who we have at large here, who has obviously planned this damn thing. But I just like how it all sort of interconnects to the first movie a little bit. Now, what I really like about this film is I think a lot of the Scream movies have had comedic elements in them, but I think this one goes for the more comedic tone more than the other films, and I feel like it actually works. There's some really funny moments in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like a lot of my horror films to be straight up horror and scary, but I've never actually thought that to be the case with the Scream movies. I don't think they're very scary films anyway, so I could go into a Scream sequel, and if it has comedic value going for it, I can get into that, because that's what these movies kind of feel like half the time, especially with the Ghostface voice from Roger L. Jackson and everything. But this one definitely feels like it is more of a funnier movie than the other films, while still being, quite gory and stuff at times. It doesn't forget the horror roots, but there's just some really funny moments in this movie that makes me have much more fun with it, with this sequel, than a lot of the other sequels. Things like where the police officer is talking about Bruce Willis in the car, and then he is stabbed outside the house, and just before he dies, he goes, "Fuck Bruce Willis." And when Charlie Walker is explaining the rules of this new movie that we've got here, and he says the only way to survive a new horror movie these days is that you have to be gay, and his friend who's walking around with the camera basically is killed at one point in this movie, and before he's killed, he goes, "I'm gay, I'm gay." If it helps. Just things like that make me find this movie so funny, and I can get along with it.
Wait, no, you can't, there's rules. I'm gay, I mean, if it helps.
But a lot of it is also to do with Roger L. Jackson. I just love the voice of Ghostface in all of these movies. I've already said in my other reviews that he's like one of the top cast members, even though he's kind of a hidden cast member. He makes Ghostface his own, even if lots of different people are playing this character. And here he is on top form. There's so many great quotes coming from him here. He had me laughing so much, and there's sinister little sort of black comedy jokes here, like the threatening but the funny at the same time. And I do think this movie contains, up to now, my favourite Ghostface quote, where we see Sydney's manager in the parking lot, and he phones her, and she says she's in the hospital. And he goes on to say, "It doesn't sound like you're in the hospital. It sounds like you're in the parking lot because the car alarms are going off." And Yeah, when he says, I can put you in the hospital if you want to be there, in the fucking morgue, I laugh at that every single time. It is my favourite Ghostface quote by some distance, to be honest.
But if you want to be in the hospital, I'd be happy to put you there, in the fucking morgue.
But I really like how the tension is amped up here with Sydney's character, because she has got to go into protective mode, because this Ghostface character is actually coming after one of her family members this time. Now, they've gone after their friends and her boyfriend in the past, but blood is also thicker than water. I'm not saying that she shouldn't care about them characters, but she feels like she's got a real duty here to protect Jill Roberts, who is her cousin in this movie. And the movie just feels like, as it's going on, that the stakes are even higher now, because they can really hurt Sydney without physically harming her, but by getting to her family. I kind of like that dynamic that we have going on here. And Sydney feels a lot more relaxed in this film, I must say. She feels like she's kind of accepted her fate and what's going on in her life, that this is just going to happen now. As much as that sucks, she kind of just takes it at face value and sort of is kind of trying to be relaxed in the situation, because she's got to be, especially for her cousin Jill. But also, it makes her more of a strong final girl, because she's been there, done that. She's wrote the book on it, literally. And it just makes her more of a strong character, in my opinion, and makes Ghostface even a little bit more vulnerable, because she's killed a few of these people now, these Ghostface characters, and she's kind of up for the fight without being too upfront about it. And the town and everyone seem to be against her, saying that she's brought these killings to Woodsboro, but she kind of just takes it in her stride and tries to deal with the situation as best she can. So this is one of my favourite versions of Sidney Prescott, to be honest. And as much as I've loved Gail Weathers in all of the other films, she is my favourite character in these Scream movies. I just think Courtney Cox is a wonderful actress, but this is also my favourite iteration of that character. She kind of turns into her old ways a little bit, not by wanting the news story, but just being an asshole to people who kind of feel like they deserve it. You're on her side when she's in people's faces. She's not scared to tell anyone what she thinks of them, and it is just a joy to watch. I love and admire Gail Weathers for that. Like Deputy Judy, who's making Dewey these little cakes and everything, because she kind of partners with him and everything, and she just turns around to Deputy Judy and says, your lemon cakes taste like ass. I just love all that. She is determined to find this killer. She will stop at nothing. And when Charlie Walker won't give her some information later on about this stab-a-thon, she just turns around to him and says, fuck you. And I noticed on this watch that Charlie Walker is not giving her that information, because obviously later on he is the Ghostface killer. But I just love Gail in this movie, man. She's wonderful. She is one of the heartbeats of this franchise for me.
Listen, in about 2 seconds, I'm going to revitalize your face with my tarnished brand. I still got it.
And I really like the introduction of Kirby as a character here, played by Hayden Pantier, who was really big at the time with Heroes and everything. But she's a relatable character, kind of like Randy was. She kind of taken over from Randy a little bit there. She loves horror. She's got a physical media collection, which I can get behind. Obviously, if you can see behind me, got a lot of Blu-rays and 4Ks there. And a lot of them are classic horror films, like Suspiria and everything. But she kind of knows some knowledge about horror and everything. So if I could sit down with any of these characters from this movie, it probably would be Kirby. But let's just get on to the big reveal here, guys. I do think that Jill is one of the best Ghostfaces. I've seen a lot of people lately on social media with Scream 7 coming out that she is one of the worst Ghostfaces. I do not agree with that whatsoever. Now, there are two Ghostfaces in this movie, guys. Charlie Walker, of course, being one of them. I'm going to speak about him more in my negatives. But Jill, man, she's just a psychotic bitch in this movie. She is so sinister. She doesn't give a fuck. She is emotionless. She does not care. She will kill anyone who gets in her way, because she wants the fame that Sydney's got, which I think is a great motive, by the way. I didn't see this coming the first time I watched it, because Jill is in a lot of trouble throughout this movie with the other Ghostface character and everything, which is Charlie, of course. And you really do think that she's going to die a lot of the time. And Neve Campbell's trying to protect her and everything. But when she turns psychotic and takes that ghost face mask off, she just shoots her ex-boyfriend in the head there. And well, she's throwing herself around the house to kind of make sure that it looks like she's been a victim of all this, just throwing herself around the house, throwing herself through tables, stabbing herself and everything. I'm just like, man, this bitch is crazy. And I really do like the hospital scene afterwards. A lot of people say this is tacked on, but it just gives more psychotic character to Jill's character in this hospital, where she wants to go and kill Sydney because Sydney survived. She didn't actually finish her off. And she's in the hospital and she's just ready to take out Deputy Judy, Dewey, fucking Gail Weathers. She just wants to kill everyone. She even says at one point, I have to kill my mother to get to this. No great loss there. So, like I said, she just has no care. She's emotionless. She has no sympathy for anyone. I think she is definitely one of the best Ghostface killers, in my opinion. There's a lot there to get behind for her being such a memorable villain in this movie. Now, guys, I do have a couple of mixed aspects with this film. Like I said, the opening for me doesn't entirely work. I think this is probably the weakest opening up to now, even though this is possibly my favorite sequel. I'm going to do a ranking on all these movies, guys, after this series, so look out for that. But the opening, it's kind of like a movie within a movie, and it kind of fakes out and cheats the audience a little bit on purpose, where we have a movie within a movie within a movie. So the first kill is not actually anything to do with this film. It's kind of the movie Stab, and then it's like Stab 7 or something, where the second kill happens, and then the third kill is actually a kill. So we do get some story-related content in that opening because this first kill has to happen. But I don't know, I don't really appreciate the whole throwing off thing, in all honesty. But there's a lot of blood and gore in that opening and a few kills, so yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, that one.
It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming. Ah!
Also, the kills themselves in this film, I think I've just come on to accept that these Scream movies don't have the most inventive kills. Scream 3 was just full of stabbings, apart from the house that blows up, which is one of the dumbest horror movie kills. I mean, if you go and check my review, I will explain that. Scream 2, kind of the same. I mean, my favourite kill in that movie was kind of off-screen with Randy. And the first movie is kind of the same, apart from maybe the cat flap kill and the big, gigantic opening, which is also mainly a stabbing scene. So they're not the most creative kills in these movies. And Scream 4 kind of feels that way as well. So, yeah, not too much to get excited about with the kills here, but they're still cool when they happen. I don't dislike knife kills or anything, and that is Ghostface's signature weapon of choice. But there's not much variety here, that has to be said. Getting on to my negatives, guys, I just noticed a couple of moments where you kind of have to suspend your disbelief a little bit with the transportation of these Ghostface characters. When you know who the killers are and you watch it back, sometimes it doesn't quite add up, the speed that these Ghostface characters are getting to certain situations and away from certain situations, while the other one is kind of in the same scene. You're just kind of thinking, how did that really come about? I just wish they would have flushed that out a little bit better there and sort of, ironed it out, the creases. But it's a small nitpick, really. I mean, it is possible, the way they transport and everything in this movie, but a big suspension of disbelief. And Trevor is one of the worst characters in these Scream movies. No one wants him to be around them. He's a very dislikable guy. It's Jill Roberts' ex-boyfriend. And again, like Cotton Weary in Scream 2, it's too much of a red herring. It's kind of like saying, this is the killer, don't look over there. And you just know as a horror movie fan, he is not going to be the killer. Yeah, kind of just forced that character too much to be one of the ghost faces. I don't think the movie does a great job of it, of throwing you off. It's kind of too obvious that he is not going to be the killer. And I also feel like the plan that Jill and Charlie are trying to hatch here, mainly Charlie, where he's kind of filming the whole thing, I don't think it really would have worked. I really do think the police force and everything would have found some gaping holes here. They're trying to sort of film it because that's what they've got to do now as killers. They film everything and make a little history book out of it, or a history vlog out of it, if you like. I just feel like the police will find so many holes in that. Maybe I'm wrong and they could mastermind it, but it just felt a little bit too complex and a little bit too ambitious for these Ghostface killers, that they were going to get away with this damn thing by filming the whole, they're going to frame people and, frame Trevor, sorry, and they were going to get away with it. Nah, it didn't quite work for me, though. And I do think Charlie Walker is one of the worst killers we've had so far. The total opposite to Jill. Jill basically uses this guy and gives him a fake romance and everything, that they're going to be together forever after this damn thing, and Charlie is just used, basically. And I just think he's kind of a weak character. I don't think he actually really wanted to do this. He was kind of mainly just doing it for Jill, to be honest. That's what it feels like anyway, because he's besotted with her. And a lot of people may compare this to Billy and Stu, that Stu's just gone along for the peer pressure. But the difference with Charlie and Stu is that Stu actually feels like he's enjoying this damn thing. He is a psychopath anyway. You can tell when you watch that first movie again that he is just unhinged. And even though he's kind of tagged along, he loves killing people and he's along for the ride. He's fully in it with Billy, and it just feels like Charlie got used by Jill for Jill's more higher purpose, if you like. He's kind of a throwaway sort of person to her, like most people, because she kills her own mum, of course. But yeah, Charlie Walker being the killer hasn't really worked for me too much in this movie, and I don't think it ever will. And as much as I love Jill as a psychotic killer, you think this big plan of hers, she would absolutely make sure that Sydney is dead. She stabs her a couple of times, and yeah, Sydney obviously is not dead, and it basically fails her whole plan, because she has to go back for her in the hospital. But again, she did come close to killing Sydney more than anyone in these movies, which gives her extra points for being a great Ghostface, but she definitely should have finished it off, and it just feels like a bit of a cop-out there. Okay guys, I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Scream 4 an 8 out of 10. One of my favourite sequels in this franchise, one of the strongest entries, and I know a lot of people dislike this movie, but I am not on that hill whatsoever. I have always enjoyed this film. Okay guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, not really a fun fact to be honest, this is just more of a fact, but this is the last film ever directed by Wes Craven, sadly, after he passed away at the age of 76. And I got a lot of respect for Wes Craven. He's one of the main reasons I love horror, one of the biggest horror and best horror directors ever. So yeah, just wanted to give him his little flowers there, if you like. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. What do you think of Scream 4? Please do let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my other Scream reviews. And please give this video a like and subscribe if horror is your sort of thing. Look out for my next Scream reviews as well. 5, 6 and 7 coming shortly, guys. Thanks so much. You all take care. And I'll see you all next video.